Well, it is the weekend, and as the weekend rolls around, so does the bad penny. Michael Snyder. Hi, Michael.
Hey, flip that coin, pal.
And he's here to tell you what's happening in the wonderful world of entertainment, or the not-so-wonderful world of entertainment. It depends upon the week.
Yeah, well, this is a hit and miss, but we got a couple of things worth checking out. Let's go straight on to Movie Land, because we are in the heart of the entertainment capital of Los Angeles, and there's a lot of PR and a lot of trailers and a lot of online treats and weird billboards for Deadpool, which is the latest Marvel Comics adaptation from 20th Century Fox and Marvel. 20th owns the rights to the X-Men, and along with that, kind of a corollary, they have Deadpool, they have the word mutant, they have a lot of things that Marvel itself, when they do stuff with Disney, can't use at this juncture. Anyway, Deadpool, as part of the X-Men universe, has busted out after kind of a weird cameo in one of the Wolverine films starring Hugh Jackman. Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool, and he's had some unpleasant experiences in the superhero genre with the DC character Green Lantern, which was one of the bigger bombs in superhero moviedom. But he has bounced back big time with this funny, sometimes very vulgar, always violent and off-the-wall investigation of the anti-hero Deadpool, who is a guy who was a special forces operative and assassin, Wade Wilson, and he gets caught in the middle of an experiment, and he earns better healing powers like Wolverine, more strength, he's more nimble, but his face is horribly scarred. So when you see the costume with the full head mask, one of the reasons he's adopted that as the character is he doesn't want to repel too many people. And there's a lovely kind of self-loathing about the comic books with Deadpool, and it transfers to the movie. His great lady love, from whom he is estranged because of this, kind of facial issue, is played by Morena Baccarin from Firefly and V and Gotham, and she's quite lovely. And Wade Wilson, Deadpool, is facing off against crazy villains, and he's doing it with a couple of X-Men who have been, I guess, loaned from the other movie franchise. We haven't seen much of them before, but it's Colossus, the big metal Russian guy, and a fairly new character named Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who was just this like snarky chick. And it's very, very funny. That's all I can tell you. It's crazy. It's off the wall. There's a lot of action and a lot of comedy. And did I have fun? Yes. And the opening credits alone are a real hoot. And there are some in-jokes and Easter eggs galore, and a couple of end credit sequences that are pretty hilarious. Ryan Reynolds does well here. Gina Carano's in this thing. T.J. Miller from Silicon Valley, he plays a kind of a bar owner who becomes a confessor to the guy. Basically, good times ahoy for those who don't see Deadpool.
Answer me a question, though. Why is it took this film, what was it, something like 5 years to get made or something? It wasn't an easy thing for them to get done. Do you know?
Well, a lot of people contributed to the writing of it. It was possibly a too many cooks thing, but it works, essentially. And I believe Ryan Reynolds had other things going on. They were working through various copyright issues because of this Marvel. Marvel sold the rights to X-Men and these attendant characters to 20th. They also sold the rights to Spider-Man to Sony. That's kind of been settled between the two companies, but they still don't have much of a say in the final decision-making process on the 20th Century Fox stuff. And I guess this worked, even though it was against the odds. It took so long to get it to the screen. I was entertained. You know what? A little of it goes a long way, though. And about the 1 hour and 15-minute mark, you get a little logy, but it picks up with the climax. And maybe I have superhero fatigue just in general because, funny, vulgar, like I said, but after a while, giant battleships getting thrown around, containers from transport ships and people getting blown up and what have you. It's maybe even me, Mr. Comic Book, is getting a little weary of it. But I enjoyed Deadpool. I wish I had enjoyed Zoolander 2 or Zoolander number 2, as in like Chanel number 5, I guess. This is, I guess you'll call it the long-awaited sequel to the over-the-top Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Will Ferrell comedy about the fashion industry and about a guy whose gaze is so powerful he can stop knives in mid-flight. That's Ben Stiller's character, Derek Zoolander, whose pout launched 1,000 guffaws, I guess, in the first movie. Owen Wilson was his longtime rival in the realm of fashion. He's Hansel, and Will Ferrell is their ultimate nemesis, a lunatic named Jacobin Mugatu, who is sort of, maybe a compendium of every arrogant fashion designer in history. So in this movie, it's years down the line. Zoolander has retired and gone off into hiding because of something horrible that's happened to his wife and child, or so he thinks. And the Owen Wilson character has settled down with his, I guess you call it a polygamous family. I don't know, about 10 people that he calls the orgy. And he's living out in the wilds of Malibu. You want this thing to be funny, and man, there are cameos everywhere. Someone is killing the great faces of the world, of pop music. And so when you see that Justin Bieber, Madonna, and Lenny Kravitz have been murdered, your heart sort of soars. There's an internal song that bursts free, but it's just not funny enough. Penelope Cruz is in this thing as a kind of an Interpol agent in their fashion division who gets involved in the international hijinks. Kristen Wiig is like a lunatic designer. You barely recognize her. Benedict Cumberbatch launched a bunch of complaints from rights groups because of his androgynous character, All, who's apparently the top model of the day, who has left Hansel and Zoolander in the dust. And he's very funny in this thing, but it's a very brief appearance. And the laughs were in short supply. There was a little whiff of better comedies like Spy and some parody references to like more heroic action films like the Mission Impossible movies and even superhero and James Bond fare. I mean, Cruise is an Interpol agent, but it just didn't hang together. Last 15, 20 minutes, they got some laughs out of me. And I just kind of wish that it had been just better, and it just wasn't funny enough. Now, I was very surprised to have any enjoyment from the movie How to Be Single, which is a contemporary romantic comedy from the woman's point of view, where three pals, three female buddies, actually two sisters and a lunatic, the lunatic played by the portly and energetic Rebel Wilson. The sister is played by Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades of Grey and Leslie Mann, a.k.a. Mrs. Judd Apatow. They are in New York City, and they're dealing with the craziness and the pitfalls of modern romantic relationships. There is a fourth woman, played by Alison Brie, who's looking for love and commitment, doing it online with dating, and they all sort of revolve around this bar in Manhattan, and we follow their escapades. And I was surprised at how unobnoxious and occasionally astute this was, and even moving a little bit. And that's with Rebel Wilson, who is, the female John Candy or the female John Belushi, all over the place. Willing to be unlikable for laughs. Dakota Johnson is sort of the wholesome girl from college who's busted up with her boyfriend for whatever reason, and now doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. And her sister is a doctor, and she wants to maybe have a baby as a single mom. And obviously, Rebel Wilson is the party animal. It's based on a novel by Liz Tuccillo, who I believe worked on Sex and the City, and Drew Barrymore produced. That's all you need to say. And yet, I was surprised at how unoffensive it was, and how it kind of took a nice slant at these stories. And, the men in the thing are all pretty okay. You don't kind of hate them. Jake Lacey, Damon Wayans Jr., it could have been excruciating, but I left that to Zoolander 2. There's your excruciating. Finally, let's talk about a war. Not any war, but a movie from the writer-director of The Hunt and A Hijacking. And these are Danish films that I thought were fantastic despite the subtitles thing. And this is a very gritty look at a company of Danish soldiers who are stationed in an Afghan province now, today, while all this foolishness is going on over there, and the effects that a command decision has on the men and their families back home. And I just thought it's a war movie, it's a personal drama, it's family drama. There's a courtroom sequence when things go awry out in the field. It's tense and exciting, and the director, Tobias Lindholm, is a major talent, despite being from Denmark, and a lot of people over here not knowing who he is and what he does. It was, again, exciting and really, really smart, and never over the top. And you kind of believe what's going on. And in this day and age when, war is on television all the time, and when we have the drone situation and all of these kind of borderless wars, movies like this are very, very relevant and I think important to see. I give big kudos to A War. And that's basically the quartet of things I wanted to center on today. What do you got in television land, Mr. B?
Well, the one that I would suggest I don't know if I can call it a guilty pleasure, but it is You, Me, and the Apocalypse.
Yes, I'm on board with it as well. It is a funny, messed up. I really am impressed.
I don't usually suggest this to people, but what I would suggest you do is if you know how to download torrents, go get the entire show from England.
Yes.
Because it doesn't have commercial breaks. It also has all the obscenities left in it, and it works much better. The first episode I saw the American version. It is a great show, and Rob Lowe is exceptional in this program.
He plays the Vatican's, I guess he's sort of the witch hunter at the Vatican. He's the guy that's like looking for, the dark forces, and he's very, very glib and very, very funny and very sophisticated, and he's paired with a very naive Italian nun. And then he's, because the apocalypse is coming, he's sent by the Vatican to seek out false messiahs. This sounds a little more religious in tone than the show is.
I don't know how the show is doing on American television, but I have to say that what happened is Sky TV, in association with NBC Universal International, produced this show, which was originally shown in England. And it has that British quality to it. And there are a lot of Brits in it, but it has a British quality to it, and it's the best quality programming I think that this country has seen.
Listen, Saul Metzstein, who's directed some fantastic episodes of Doctor Who, it is a British production company. He's the director of at least a number of these episodes, and they crackle. And also, to say it's world-spanning is fair, because there's stuff that happens in the United States. There's two fugitive women, one of whom has been falsely accused of espionage. She's played by Jenna Fisher. The other is a complete, lunatic white supremacist played by Megan Mullally, who is unrecognizable.
I know. I didn't know who she was until I looked and it said Megan Mullally.
Yeah, and there's a British banker who was initially accused of terrorism, and that plays out in a certain way. And we find out that there are family issues afoot. A very famous British actress shows up in the film, in the show, a few episodes in. I won't say who she is, but we love her. And again, very impressive work. I'm trying to think, is there anything else we can say about it other than, it's the end of the world?
You must watch this show. It's that good.
And I also want to reiterate what Alex said. Yes, it's illegal, but if you can get the versions legally that were shown in the UK and other territories, they are definitely better, because you don't have dialogue changes and no scenes are cut out because they're a little raw for American.
I don't suggest ripping off people by downloading torrents, but when in this country they can't say, this show we really shouldn't put on one of our over-the-air networks. We can put it on Sci-Fi or whatever, where we can run this without having to bleep the obscenities, because the obscenities are very important in many cases.
Very, very colorful. The thing is about cyber terrorism. It's about so many things, and it is a comedy. And I did laugh.
No, well, it's not. It is and it isn't. I mean, that's the point. That's what's amazing about it. I mean, there are very dark moments in this show. And Yeah, but anyway, I think we've said enough about it. But
yeah. By the way, have not had a chance to see the new Michael Moore documentary, For Better or Worse, Where to Invade Next. I'm going to try to catch up to that one, and when I do, I will let you know what I think.
Yeah, otherwise, I don't have to go to the movies anymore because we bought ourselves a 65-inch 4K television set, and that's the kind of quality picture that you have in the movie theater. So I don't have to go to the movies anymore.
That's the spirit, you cocooner, you.
Yeah, I don't ever have to leave the house now.
Just bundle up and enjoy.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll be back next week, and in the meantime, I just want people to know, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter @Culture Blaster, and the Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page on Facebook awaits you and your likes, and you can hear Alex and I talk about stuff, and you can read articles that I crank out, whatever is available.
And the reason he sounded a little echoey today is he's not in his usual location. So thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. And there's more GABNet right ahead.